So I'm going to do a video live right now that isn't connected to Facebook yet because the last update with Facebook made the interface or the synchronization between Facebook and my phone made a little crackling sounds. And so I want to do like a video like this to see how that would translate on Facebook and how it would sound. And so, yeah, I mean, I'll tell you, there's so much going on in this world that there's so much suffering, and how do you manage suffering so it doesn't destroy you? How do you manage suffering so it doesn't completely destroy your children? How do you teach your children how to suffer effectively so it doesn't destroy them? I mean, that's one of the crux. That's one of the issues that I'm trying to figure out, is how do people manage suffering so it doesn't end up to be catastrophic towards the end? And that's first understanding all the programming. That's first understanding the programming, the if-then programming, what you were trained, what you were brought into this world for. And you could have been brought into a world like with your parents. They were brought in under a specific programming. And if your parents divorced and you only get training from one parent who is in a very specific programming, then you're not going to get the luxury to get the training from the other parent, which is why there's a lot of issues with divorced families or people who had mothers and fathers leave. But even then, did you want that programming from them? Or did you want to be a free agent and program yourself at some point when you realize that you can program yourself? And so it's like, how do you wade through all the trauma of expectation, from the past to the present? How do you instill that into yourself and instill that into your kids so they can survive? That's a lot of awareness. It's a lot of just facing yourself and facing what you've been programmed into. And when you're in specific cultures that have been oppressed and have been discriminated against, that's a lot of trauma to release. And you have biological programming that reinforces that trauma, reinforces all of that type of oppression. That's even getting through that programming and releasing it and reconfiguring your central processing unit. And so it's a lot because I'll tell you, I mean, when you've been programmed through our society and your community and your family and your friends and your politics, your religion and science have programmed you and reinforced oppression, reinforced trauma from the past that you absolutely actually have no real relationship to, but other people have been programmed to be that trauma to you, have been programmed to be that discrimination, that oppression. And so then we are reliving the past over and over again through the same people of the present, and no one seems to release the programming. And you can't make someone over there release the programming and stop traumatizing you if you are in contact with them. You can't make them stop. But it's being aware of your surroundings, the communities that you're in, what you allow into your life, what kind of measures or lack of measures of boundaries that you have or have not developed. And I'll tell you, when you're exposed to a bunch of people today on Facebook and people have access to you all the time, and you haven't taught the world how to develop boundaries, and so that's why you're a friends only versus having an open page. And then of course your friends and family on a friends only page will reinforce the same kind of programming, and there really won't be any evolution. See, when you have friends only, that's reinforcing a programming. When you open your page and it's not friends only, then you're getting all different types of people that will say certain things that will make you relook and re-examine your lifestyle, your belief systems, potentially even figure out things that you didn't ordinarily know. And that takes a while to develop a thick skin when you open up yourself and you open up your page. Okay? See, I have an open page because I can handle trolls coming through and saying they're bullshit, and then I'll just block and delete them. I'll take the information when it comes through, and then I'll block and delete them, and they will not have the luxury of this information, and so they'll be stuck going under a troll account to then spy on me in a different way, and then they don't say anything, because if they say something, I'll block and delete them again. Okay? And so, what if you can have an open page where anything can come through and you have strengthened your defense systems and you're teaching the world about who you are and what you will tolerate and what you will not tolerate. And then when someone comes in with a different thought process, I mean, you can examine it, but if then they keep trolling you and you're not willing to be converted, which is fine, then you block and delete them. And you keep things open. But that's so unsafe because maybe they can't handle a different thought process. Maybe they can't handle trolls and weirdos and strangers coming through. And that's the thing about our society is we have not been trained to deal with diversity. But then the diversity out there can be really aggressive. And so then how do you protect yourself from those that are exhibiting predatory, diverse behavior? And so that takes time. That takes a lot of time to develop that awareness of indicators of danger. Okay. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm definitely influential and opposite to a lot of people out there. And so even though I'm open on my Facebook page, most of my friends are mostly closed. That everything on their settings is set to friends only. Because at this point they can't handle anyone looking at what they're doing. They don't want to be exposed to the world out there. And I get it. Maybe you have kids, maybe you don't. Maybe you know that you're tied to me, and so then you'll get the controversy of being exposed to me and all that, and you don't want to deal with trolls, and I get that too. But there is definitely an art to being exposed to different people's belief systems, because when someone challenges you, it doesn't mean that you accept their challenges all the time. You can block and delete them because you know you're not trying to convert them, but then you'll be able to explain why it is you feel a certain way or why it is that you changed. Like you'll be able to articulate why it is. So when someone brings in something that's new and it still goes against what your belief system is, then maybe you'll be able to handle articulating your position even better and better and better and better. And so even the trolls and your supporters can sharpen your skills. Because yeah, even in the J world, I don't necessarily agree with everyone that it's in the J world. Absolutely not. You already know it. Not everybody follows what I say and what I do and believes what I believe in the J world. They have their own lifestyle, belief system. They have their own tolerance levels, and yet we still are able to sharpen each other's swords relative to where we're coming from and still appreciate each other's evolution. And we're coming from a pro-life. We'll just see how that translates down the road. And so there's a lot of tolerance even in the J world because not everybody we're not cloned the same. There's people in the J world like John is like blood type B, Audrey blood type O, and other people are different blood types. And we found to happen to be different religions, different lifestyles, different tolerance levels to animals. I mean, and you know what my politics are. But we found a platform that we can align ourselves on. And we are the representation of the world that we want to live in. And so, and our tolerance level or lack thereof, whatever. And so this is kind of like a prototype of a diverse world that's able to find a platform and potentially could be even forever humans if one gets out of one's own way. And we are dropping seeds in our own way, even just by merely interacting with each other on whatever level. It doesn't matter what you represent or how you represent. It's just that we're interacting and we are part of a collective evolution representing different ideas, thoughts, and belief systems. And can each of us be a different culture and still be assimilated and still evolve and still have tolerance and still appreciate the diversity that we bring to the table? And that's what the new world wants, because we don't want to go into that behavior of being judge, jury, and executioner. But again, remember, suffering is the name of the game here, and how much suffering is too much suffering, how little suffering is too little. And it's like, oh, geez. All right, I'm going to upload this to Facebook and see how it sounds. Okay, bye.